What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Another week of transfer rumours and another week of talking about Mohammed Kudus and boiling some more West Ham fans' piss. I think we're all here to see it. And we're going to get straight into and talk through the update. Got quite a bit of news to talk about today, and we're going to start off talking about the academy goalkeeper Josh Keeley, as Alistair Gold says that Spurs are in talks with Josh Keeley, who spent last year on loan at Leyton Orient over a new contract. A large number of Championship and League One clubs are interested in taking him on loan as well as permanently as well. I wouldn't like to see him go permanently, to be fair.
Yeah, but it could be a similar situation to what Phillips and Devine maybe find themselves in with Vicario and Kinski clearly there at the moment as our long-term goalkeepers. Kinski is obviously a similar age to Josh Keeley. So if Kinski's doing well and there's no real reason to kind of force Keeley back into the fold, it's going to be tough for him, through no fault of his own. But I agree. I think another loan deal, see how the land lies. We'll see what's going on with Vicario. Obviously, a lot of rumours about his future flying around. I think nothing too serious at the moment, but if Kinski does displace him and Vicario is looking for that number one slot somewhere and he's not happy, which, could happen during the season, then maybe it could be an opportunity for Keeley to come in and fight for his place with Kinski. So I think, and from that point of view, that's why I wouldn't want to let him go permanently just yet. And I think a loan deal, I think hopefully to the Championship, because I think he absolutely smashed it last season, would be what he needs. And I think he's such a promising young goalkeeper. I think his loan deals have gone really, really well so far. In part of the senior international setup now with Ireland, he's got his first call up not so long ago. So this is such a top talent, and he seems to be a guy full of confidence, belief in himself, to go to Leyton Orient like he did and not just establish himself but star and have massive moments and even score a goal. Score a goal? Got an assist. Score a goal.
Of course he scored, yeah.
Scored a goal, yeah. So, yeah, for me, I think we have to keep him. I think we should not be letting him go unless there's a decent deal with a buyback clause, which we can activate comfortably.
So let's see what happens with that one. But yeah, talks of a contract are very much welcome. Top keeper. Well, he's going to be a top keeper in my opinion. He's showing a lot of good signs of development. Next up, we're going to talk about Yves Bissouma. We heard last week that Juventus are potentially interested in taking Yves Bissouma off our hands. Graham Bailey says today that Tottenham are ready to sell Bissouma this summer and have told his camp to start working on a move away. 1 year left in his deal, and apparently Spurs have told him, get your bags and go find a new club.
Yeah, and I think with the contract situation, it makes a lot of sense. We're not going to offer him a new deal, I don't think, right now, unless he blows Frank away and Frank convinces the club that we need to sign on a new deal. I just don't see that happening. And I think for Bissouma as well, for himself, maybe he needs a new kind of scenery, a new club, a fresh start, because at Tottenham, look, he's had highs, but he's had a lot of lows as well, and it's just been a very inconsistent kind of stop-start time at Tottenham. Hasn't really got going in the way that we'd hoped. We can see there's definitely a good player there. We've seen that at Tottenham. We've seen that at Brighton as well. This is definitely a player who can play in the Premier League, no doubt about it. But it's all about, does he have that extra bit about him to have that consistency, that maybe competitive edge as well. We know when he's on his game and he's fully concentrating, he can be a top central midfielder, one of the best in the league on his day when he's really performing at the top of his game. But unfortunately, we just haven't seen that Bissouma anywhere near enough as much as we'd liked, albeit he did perform in big moments last season, that run into the Europa League win right at the end of the season. So that was really good. But I think the crutch of the issue is he's got 1 year left. And I just don't see Tottenham offering him a new deal. And we're going to want some money for him. We're not going to want him to leave on a free. So that all roads point to him leaving. But for me, I think he's a good player. And I think there will be clubs interested in him. I don't think this is a player who's a dud who no one's going to be interested. I do think there will be clubs interested. But Juve, to be fair, I would be surprised if they were letting go of Luiz, potentially, which is what the rumours are, and they're replacing him with Bissouma. I wouldn't necessarily say that's an upgrade, so I'll be very surprised if that's the course of action they're going down, albeit I've been very surprised with a lot of Juventus' transfer activity over the last few years, so it wouldn't surprise me if they're making yet another mistake. But I think, to me, the price between 12 and 17, that's a fair deal for Bissouma. I think that's a good price.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at Douglas Luiz at Juventus, the rumours are today that they've said that he can find a new club and he can move on this summer. So why don't we look to do a deal with Juventus in terms of bringing Douglas Luiz here and sending Yves Bissouma there? I think that'd be, if they really want Bissouma, I think that's a deal that could suit all parties.
Probably money plus Bissouma.
Money plus Bissouma for Luiz, yeah. I think that would be brilliant for us.
Knowing Levy, he'll want to do the deal separate. It's usually how he likes to do it. But still, in any case, I think it makes a lot of sense for Tottenham. Makes a lot of sense if that's what Juve want as well. I'm all for that. And I think Luiz is exactly the kind of midfielder we kind of want. A good kind of passing tempo setter kind of central midfielder, but also has that bit of defensive solidity. I don't think it's like when you're comparing him to some of the best defensive midfielders in the league. I think defensively, I don't know if he's quite as good as them, but he's still pretty good. But I think on the ball, he's got unbelievable ball striking ability, great shot from, fantastic shot technique, those curlers from the edge of the box he has. And I think he's got great passing range, very good at set pieces as well. So for me, I think he'd be a top option, Douglas Luiz, and I would very much do a deal if that's possible. There's rumours of, I think, Fulham being interested. I think there was rumours of even Everton. But I don't know why more top clubs aren't in for him, because when he was at the top of his game at the end of last season, or 2 seasons ago, off the back of a stellar season at Villa, where I think he got something like 11 goals or something, and even playing in central midfield. And there's a reason why Juve spent good money on him. And in fact, I think they spent 35 million plus. They gave 2 players, if I remember rightly, Samuel Welling Jr. and I think there was someone else. Baranchea. So that was a reason that was a very good. That was quite a significant deal for them. There was a reason why he was very highly sought after. But I do wonder why he hasn't worked out at Juve. He just hasn't been able to get on the pitch. I think he made 3 starts the whole of last season. He's had a lot of injury problems this year. Yeah, but even when he's been fit, he just hasn't. Maybe he's been struggling to get over those injuries. I know I think at Villa as well, he didn't have the best injury record, if my memory serves me right. But I think maybe that's something to look out for if he's maybe a player who struggles with injuries. But I like him as a player, and I think if we can do a deal for Bissouma, I'd definitely do it.
Yeah, just looking at his injury history now, he missed 41 days with a hamstring injury, 6 games, 2 games with muscle fatigue, 1 game with muscular problems, 1 day he needed a rest, 10 games with muscle fatigue. So he seemed to have a lot of muscle problems this season. So he missed 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 games this year just through muscle injuries.
And what about for Villa? Was it all right for Villa?
Villa was... I mean, he had muscle injuries at Villa, but not to that extent. Like, he hadn't had an injury since 21-22 season.
It was interesting. I remember listening to a podcast. Evra was talking, and he was saying that when I don't know if they have the same fitness staff now as they did when Evra was there, but he was saying that when he went to Juventus, when he was playing for Man United, he said the amount of running they made you do in training and the amount of fitness work they made you do, he said he'd never seen anything like it. He said he was doing so much more running in Juventus training than he was for Man United. So I don't know if there's something to that, whether Juve, the standards there put a lot on the players. I don't know, or maybe it's just unlucky season. It's hard to really know exactly what's going on with Douglas Luiz, but we see when he was in the Premier League, he was a top player.
But look, the reality is he's gone injury-free for 2 years, and then he's missed 20 games this year due to injury. There's got to be some sort of reasoning behind it. We don't know, obviously, but that is that. Let's move on and talk about Cristian Romero now. As AS publication out in Spain say that Atletico have made a new €70 million bid for Cristian Romero. The proposal is worth an initial €55 million with a potential 15 million in add-ons, which, if this is true, I don't know if that's something Spurs will. It only seems about 5 million more than what the original proposal was in add-ons. That is as well.
I think it's a kind of deal that you would probably reject, but then that would also represent a deal that's not far off. For example, Tottenham probably go back to say, okay, we're not going to accept this, but you add 5 million to the actual fee, and then you do 60 plus 10. And maybe we'll accept it. And then all of a sudden you're getting very close. So we don't really know, if this bid is real or not, or if it's a genuine bid. But if there's any truth to it, and that's an actual bid they've made, for me, that's getting very close to what Tottenham want. And I think they would reject that. but I think a few kind of manoeuvrings, a few differences with add-ons and what the straight cash is, and I think Tottenham would find the bid acceptable. I don't think it's far off.
Yeah, I mean, if they gave like 10 more million in the initial fee and, you know, less of 5 million in the add-ons fee, that is definitely something we'll accept. Spurs would accept.
Yeah, I think even if it's like, I think 10 million is maybe a bit too much, but I think even if it's like 6-7 million in add-ons with the other stuff coming from the guaranteed fee, I think that's something Tottenham would highly consider, I would say. If
this is true, right, you are getting the sense now that the deal is very, very close, aren't you? Really close. And with the rumours of Spurs to make a substantial bid for Mohammed Kudus and Romero to go out the door, are we going to bring in another top centre-back? That's the main question, isn't it?
Big question, because we've been through it a lot. How many centre-backs we currently have at the club? Takai coming in, he's set to be confirmed very soon. We have Dragoshin, Danso, Van de Ven, and even Davis is still here at the moment. So even without Romero, we're currently on 5 centre-backs. So is something going to have to give there as well, on top of Romero leaving, if we're going to really spend big on a centre-back, or are we willing to go into the season with 6 centre-backs potentially? So, and we're going to have 6 centre-backs, unless the plan is to play a back 3 for the majority of the time. That's going to be a bit of an issue, I think, having that many, especially with the amount of squad space we need. But I think all Spurs fans would agree that looking at our centre-back options without Romero, you know, worries you, and it's you'd feel like you would want more quality there, and you'd feel like you definitely want a better option. So I don't think Tottenham fans would be happy selling Romero and then relying on the current crop that we have. But the club would argue we spent, you know, 30 million on Dragoshin, 25 million on Danso. And I could see the club. I could see Levy saying, "Look, we spent them good, decent money on them, and you're going to have to use them, and we're not going to just keep buying players," which I don't think is the right way. I think I would probably, in that situation, if that's the way they're going to go down, then I would see if there's any offers for Dragoshin and try and sign a real upgrade on him, or someone who's closer to the quality of Romero than rely on those 2 centre backs for me. But if that's not going to happen, it's going to be interesting to see how we move forward with that, because I worry, to be honest. I worry about that situation.
Yeah, I mean, if we are going to bring in other centre-back, something's got to give. And Dragoshin, like you mentioned, probably is the only real fall guy, because we're not going to get rid of Danso. We're not going to get rid of Van de Ven. We're not going to get rid of, obviously, Takai's just come in. We've got Vuskovic and Phillips, who's probably going to go out on loan this season. So
obviously, and we're hoping Davis probably leaves, or at least
I'm not even counting Davis.
Maybe gets left out the Champions League squad at the very least.
I'm not even counting Davis, but in terms of just pure numbers, if we want to bring in a centre-back to replace Romero, one of the other centre-backs has got to go as well.
Which is mad to think about.
Yeah.
But in terms of this whole Romero thing, I reckon if they are making bids now, it kind of makes sense, because they want to put as much pressure on early before Romero's had a time to chat with Frank and see where his head's at and all that kind of stuff. And obviously Tottenham are going to try and convince him, and they're going to try and offer him contracts and those rumours of Levy wanting to make Romero the highest paid player at Tottenham and all these different things. So I think from Atletico's point of view, I can understand, while he's on holiday and he's not back with the players and stuff, getting his ear as early as possible and get those bids in, so that he goes into those conversations with Frank with already thinking of Atletico rather than being as open as he could be to staying.
He does say he loves Tottenham, Romero, and he also does say, there was some suggestions in the press last week saying he's not going to push for a move, he's not going to request a transfer. So if that is the case, is there a possibility of Spurs rejecting these offers out of hand and doing their best to keep him next season?
I think from that point of view, as I do think he likes Spurs. I think it's a similar maybe situation to like the Kane situation, where I think in an ideal world he would love to he would love to think the club are as ambitious as him and going to challenge for big trophies. But I think he's maybe not happy with decisions being made higher up. and he's not happy with a lot of the direction that the club is going. Obviously, we did win that trophy, and that's obviously fantastic. And he liked the manager, he liked Ange, he was on record saying that. But he's also not happy with the fact that every time we have a big summer we look to kick on, we don't do what's required, like the teams that he wants to be challenging with. He's not interested in challenging for top four or being mid-table, being where we were. He wants to be right at the top, challenging for big things every season, and that's what he said. He said it's a beautiful club, and he said if done right, they could be challenging for titles every season. I think that's what he wants, but I think he has clearly lost faith that the hierarchy are ever going to provide that while they're here. So I think he's thinking, look, I'm 27 now. He's not old, but at 27, it's a significant part of your career. Do I want to? I've spent how many seasons at Tottenham? 4 seasons at Tottenham. I've won a trophy here. I'm part of the history. Do I want to put my faith that this hierarchy are ever going to get me challenging right at the very top? Or do I want to make the move to Atletico, who consistently, yes, I mean, it's tough to beat Madrid and Barca, but they are very often within shooting distance of them. And they're usually third, and they have won a couple of league titles in that time as well. But, he probably feels like he's got a better chance doing it at Atletico than he does at Tottenham. So I don't think it's a case of he's desperate to leave, but I think right now, because he's doesn't like the club, but I think when he looks at the situation, I think he's thinking it's now's the right time to probably go to Atletico if I've got the opportunity.
Well, as he once said, the problems that have always been at this club and will always be at this club, and those are the issues, unfortunately. But let's move on and let's talk about the big story, which is Mohammed Kudus. As Graham Bailey says that Tottenham have made a third bid worth £60 million for Mohammed Kudus. Tottenham's third bid was worth an initial £50 million plus a further £12.5 million in add-ons. West Ham have deemed the add-ons unacceptable as they included payments for Spurs winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League. Talks remain ongoing. West Ham want around £60 million in straight cash and no add-ons. Mohammed Kudus has rejected a late approach from Bayern Munich because he is set on completing a Tottenham transfer. Kudus has informed West Ham that he is focused on only signing for Spurs. Alex Crook says that Tottenham's bid for Mohammed Kudus included add-ons that only kicks in if they win the Champions League or Premier League. And ex-West Ham employee who's a reliable West Ham ITK says that West Ham are now expecting Spurs to come in with an improved offer in the next day or so. Which is interesting with him rejecting Bayern Munich, because we all know what happened with Musiala on the weekend. Horrific injury. He's going to be out for 4 months minimum, but I expect it could be quite a way longer than that as well. So with Bayern coming in for Kudus, you'd imagine that he might get significant game time there as well.
Yeah, but he wants to, maybe he's happy in London. A lot of, when it comes to these kind of moves, that plays a big part as well. Where the player is, where he's happy. Does he want to uproot his life and move to Germany, or is he happy in London, wants to stay in England? Clearly, I think that's his priority. So, look, we don't know how much truth there is to him rejecting Bayern. That's the current rumour. But obviously Harry Kane made that move, but that was a different situation, I think. He was obviously been at Tottenham for a long time. I think Kudus is still fairly young. He's 24. He wants to remain in the Premier League. He doesn't want to be playing in the Bundesliga. He's got Champions League football with Tottenham as well. Yes, at Bayern, you're going to be challenging for bigger things more regularly. But at Tottenham, he's feeling like it's a chance to remain in the Premier League and maybe kick on with a club that clearly has a big scope to improve, and he wants to be part of that. So I agree with you. You'd think, you look at the situation, Sane's left, Musiala's out for a long time, Gnabry's not getting any younger. There's definitely space there. Coman as well, he's near 30. So you would think he would maybe be one of their... You've got Elise, but then again, maybe he's looking at Elise things like, I'm not never getting in ahead of Elise, am I? But maybe you'd feel like he could play the number 10 there, but I don't know if he's a different kind of number 10 to Musiala. So, yeah, I just feel like maybe he wants to stay in the Premier League. That's the main thing. But in terms of all these other bids, let's hope I'm glad I'm hearing this news that we're making bids early. I'm very happy about that, and we're looking to get this deal done quickly, and we're pushing on with this move, and all the rumours are we're looking to really accelerate and bid within the next few days because we can't let this rumble on. That's what we've been saying, so that's really positive.
Yeah, for the add-ons in this
yeah, that's
Champions League win and Spurs and Premier League win. Now we know why Daniel Levy said that in that interview with Vinay on the Spurs YouTube channel. He's like, I want to win the Premier League, I want to win the Champions League. West Ham are looking at that and seeing the bid at the same time. It's like, this guy ain't for real, surely.
Yeah, I think they looked at that. First of all, not only did they underbid, but the add-ons they put on in the underbid was if we win the Premier League and Champions League. I mean, that's not enough to piss you off to make you want to walk away from the deal. I mean, Levy just really detests the patience of other chairmen. This is why he's got such a he's got a reputation for being such a tough negotiator, but he's also got a reputation for absolutely boiling the piss of all the other chairmen.
I think Sim's mic isn't working.
Has it gone off? We'll try and get that fixed. Is it
working now?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I'm saying he's got a reputation for being a tough negotiator, but he's got a reputation as well for absolutely boiling the piss of all the other chairmen. So this would definitely play into that 100%.
I swear, this guy Levy has no shame whatsoever. If he's putting in derisory bids anyway that you know that are going to be rejected, so you put in an inquiry 2 weeks ago for 50 million. 2 weeks later, you put in a bid for 50 million. Both are rejected, which is madness in itself. And then you come in with another bid with add-ons added to that, saying, but only if we win the Champions League and Premier League. I mean, this guy...
We'll give you another million if we win the treble.
Do you reckon Levy's putting in these bids being like, all right, I've got them now. These guys are gonna accept these add-ons. Like, surely he knows those bids are going to be rejected
Saying
out
it's
of
not
hand.
working again. Yes. We'll try and get that fixed. Is it the... Dodgy. Whenever we talk about Levy, something seems to happen. It's not the first time that's happened, you know.
Happens every time.
Every time we bring Levy up.
Literally. So is it all right now?
Yep, seems it.
Is the audio right, guys? Let me know in the chat.
Yes.
Everything okay?
There is crackling on the mic. People are saying. Yeah,
Cuts in and out. Better. All good.
Seems okay.
Seems okay for now. All right, we'll have to.
All right, but anyway, that is the Mohammed Kudus news. It looks as though.
And in terms of your point, do I think he does his add-ons thinking they're going to accept it? I don't. I think he's testing his luck. I think he knows there's a good chance it's going to be rejected, and he knows that maybe, I don't know, he'll just piss him off. But it was interesting to listening to West Ham Fan TV yesterday. I was watching the video and what Nicky was saying about Kudus, because Kudus has made this stance now about he only wants Tottenham, he's prioritising Tottenham. That has clearly infuriated West Ham fans. We're going to react to some of their comments, but he's saying, has that backed West Ham into a corner now where if Chelsea don't, they're basically relying on Chelsea coming in, because if they don't, they might have to sell Kudus on the cheap because they can't keep him now. Like there's no way that Kudus can step back in West Ham with fans in that stadium with what's happened. So are they in big trouble now if there's no one as serious as Tottenham in bringing Kudus to their club?
Kudus is now public enemy number one at West Ham. That's what he's done now by making this stance very clear. He only wants Tottenham. And if he's going to refuse to deal with Chelsea, refuse to deal with Bayern Munich, refuse to deal with any other club that comes in, and he genuinely only wants Tottenham, then it has backed them into a corner. Because he can't go back there. They can't deal with any other club, so they have to deal with Tottenham. And Tottenham are going to know that, obviously. So Tottenham are going to try and take advantage of that.
100%.
But is it reality?
It's a risk from Tottenham as well.
Yeah, exactly. But is it reality that he will only deal with Tottenham? Like, if this deal keeps rumbling on, he's going to be like, you know what? Do they really want me that much? Shall I start talking to Chelsea?
Yeah, well, that's the risk. And that's happened with us before, hasn't it? Where we've been in these situations, we think we have the upper hand in a negotiation, and then something changes, and all of a sudden all the waiting, and it's the perfect example. I mean, it's a bit different, but the one example that everyone remembers is the Grealish one. We had the upper hand in negotiation. Villa were absolutely strapped for cash. They were willing to take a really cheap offer, but we were trying to get it. So I think they were willing to accept something like 20 million or something, or 25 million.
Went back in for like 5 million.
We thought, oh, we can basically get him for whatever we want because they need the money anyway, and we're the only ones in for him, so we can just do whatever we want. And we bid 5 million for Onoma and plus Onoma or something stupid, and we were going with stupid bids, and we delayed, and then all of a sudden Villa got taken over, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, now we want 50 million because we're going to keep him now because we don't need the money as much, and that deal was dead. Other when we could have had him for 25 million. So that's the risk we run, where we can get him now. Pretty much we can get him now if we want him for like 65. We're going to try and lowball it because we're the only ones seriously in for him currently, and West Ham might be forced to sell. But the longer this rumbles on, Chelsea could sell Madueke and then put a serious bid in for him. Other things can change. Do Liverpool maybe become serious with him with what's happened? Like, things can change very quickly. So if you don't strike while the iron's hot, while you have that opportunity, you're putting a massive risk on the deal falling apart. 100%.
Exactly, and that's why we need to wrap this deal up ASAP. Put in a bid that West Ham are going to accept and get the ball rolling. Like, his release clause is 85 million. If we get him for 65 million, I think that represents good value, in my opinion. Especially in this day and age, when you're signing Archie Gray for 40 million, a deal for 65 million for Mohammed Kudus is value, in my opinion. And I think he can take our attack onto the next level. But when you actually think about what is going on right now and what Kudus is doing and what his stance has been over the past week or so, saying that he only wants to deal with Tottenham. Can we just think about this for a second? Because I think it's absolutely mad. Like, West Ham hate us more than anyone, and he'll know that as well by playing in these games in the last 2 years. The tempers flare very high in this kind of fixture. West Ham absolutely hate the guts out of us. This is boiling so much piss in the West Ham fan base. It must be boiling so much piss inside the West Ham boardroom as well. Like, I actually can't believe that Kudus is making this his stance. I know he's not come out in an interview and said it, but all the reliable journalists are talking about it, right? Saying Kudus is only going to deal with Tottenham. Like, this is basically the same as like an Arsenal player like not Bukayo Saka, but an Arsenal player like Trossard, or one of their big wingers like Martinelli saying he only wants to deal with Tottenham, or someone like Kulusevski coming out saying he only wants to deal with Arsenal. Like, this is the level of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, to that, which is crazy to think about. It's a proper betrayal to West Ham fans. I think from what I've seen about on the reaction, which we'll get into later, like, a lot of them don't mind him leaving, but how dare he say he only wants Tottenham? This is a massive kind of, in terms of footballing rivalry for West Ham fans, this is absolutely massive. This is him going to public enemy number one. He's joining the enemy, and if this move happens, he is going to get absolute pelters whenever he goes to the Olympic Stadium. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely crazy. I can see him getting so much abuse, and it's going to stoke the rivalry between the clubs even more as well. And Tottenham, we'll feel like we've got the upper hand. But it's weird because, as I've said before, like, we've done deals with them before, and it's not felt the same as it would now, I feel. Like, I think, we got Parker, Defoe, Canute. I think Defoe was different because he handed in a transfer request while they were in the Championship. So that's a big reason why he was hated. But like Parker, I don't remember it being a massive deal.
Didn't they go down that year, though?
They went, I think it was while they were in the Championship, or in the summer. I think it was in the dressing room, in fact. It was in he got sacked. So who are you talking about? Which one?
Parker.
Yeah, Parker, they went
down that year.
They went down, yeah.
So, I mean, most of the deals that we've got of them, they've always been in the Championship.
Except for Carrick, maybe? Carrick. Well, I think they did go... No.
Carrick, they're in the Championship as well, weren't they?
Actually, I think you're right. I think they just got promoted.
So, I mean, like, West Ham... they won the Conference League a couple of years ago. They're a much different club now to what they were than when we were taking those players off them then. You know what I mean? They're a Championship club and flirting between relegation and the Premier League at that moment in time. Now, they're a decent club. Got a really good squad there. I know they didn't have a good season last year, but they've been finishing top half of the league and going far in European competition, Europa League, winning the Conference League. Like, there shouldn't really be a situation where we can go and take their best player right now.
No. Like, imagine Arsenal taking one of our best players, like Maddison or something. That would the riots that would cause, honestly. So, but in terms of your point to the boardroom, I actually doubt the boardroom care that much. I think they care more about the fan reaction than they do about him going to Tottenham. In my book, the West Ham boardroom haven't never really looked to me as one who've cared about sentiment and fan rivalries and that kind of stuff.
I don't disagree, but they are West Ham people in the boardroom in terms of they know what it is to be a West Ham fan and they'll know what this means. They'll know exactly what this means. David Gold and Karen Brady and all that kind of stuff. Like, they've been there for a while. They know exactly what it means, the rivalry between Tottenham and West Ham. So,
would this be the biggest kind of transfer betrayal we've been on the right side of?
Since Rowan Ricketts?
Since Gallas, maybe? Gallas, where he left Arsenal, where he kind of...
Arsenal did not care about that one bit.
But he was their captain and he came to us.
Yeah, they didn't care about that one bit.
I'm trying to think anything that we've been on the right side of in this. Yeah,
I think it's probably the biggest one in my living memory, to be honest, being a Spurs fan, because this is literally West Ham's. Last year they were saying he's his best player. They've got Jarrod Bowen there as well, who's probably better at this moment in time. But he's one of their best players. They thought like he had world-class ability after his first year. They're saying this guy is just an unbelievable football player. And for him to come out and say that he only wants to join Tottenham, I think has got to hurt them so much.
Yeah, 100%.
So much.
Especially in a season when they just finished above us as well in the league, even though obviously we won the Europa League. But if you're a West Ham fan, I know we're Tottenham fans, right? So we understand there were situations why we finished 17th. Obviously, we know we've got a new manager coming in. We're pretty certain that situation is going to be very different, and we're hoping to be challenging again for the European spots next season. But if you're like a rival fan, you maybe don't know all the context. You're like, you finished 17th, we finished above you, we can now kick on and stuff. Like, to hear one of your best players wanting to join rivals you just finished above, who finished below you last season, that must really sting.
Absolutely.
If that's the truth, 100%.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be fascinating how this plays out. If there, will fan pressure, if their deal does seem to be getting closer and there's talks of a deal being agreed, will there be massive fan pressure to stop this deal, and will they bow to it? I think that is going to be fascinating over the next week as well. I think that's a different element, which I don't think we've really seen the full amount of, but maybe over the next few days, if there's real talk of this actually happening, will fan pressure on social media, even in person, will there be protests, all these kind of things, will that actually happen? And will that put too much pressure, and will they bow to that pressure? It'll be very interesting.
Well, look, we'll get into all that a bit later on in the stream because we've got some good reactions to get through. But two more names to talk about today. First up is Orkan Koçu of Benfica. Caught Offside are reporting that Tottenham have been showing interest in signing Benfica midfielder Orkan Koçu, who is pushing to leave the Portuguese Giants. Spurs are one of the 4 clubs eyeing the 24-year-old and could be allowed to leave for around £35 million. He has impressed since joining from Feyenoord in the summer of 2023. Koçu's future has been the subject of speculation following falling out with manager Bruno Lage. Turkish outlet Sports Digital also reports that the player has informed the Portuguese club he does not intend to return for pre-season on July the 14th.
Yeah, I liked Koçu when he was at Feyenoord. I remember we were talking about him back in the days when we were linked with Arne Slot and we were thinking he was actually going to come. That seems like a long time ago now. And I remember Koçu was heavily linked. We thought we were going to get Slot on Koçu in a double deal. I really like him. I think he's, but I don't know if, again, he's kind of similar profile to like a Bergvall. Maybe not quite a Bergvall. He's like a 10, but not quite a 10. He's like more of a 8/10, like a Bergvall, I guess. Like he's like a 8.5 kind of thing. He's very good technically, good dribbler, really good passer. I think that's his main attribute. Great passing ability. I just don't see the necessity for him right now. But he's a good player. I think he's 23. He's quite young. He's been quite good at Benfica in the Champions League when I've watched him as well. So he's a good player. I just don't believe we're going to bring him in right now. It sounds like an agent talk to me to try and get up some interest.
Yeah, there are. They say there are like a number of clubs interested in him. Look, he's a talented player, no doubt about it. And with him not wanting to stay at Benfica, there's rumours of trouble there, and the potential of a cheaper deal maybe than if he wanted to stay at Benfica. Maybe Levy smells a bit of an opportunity here. But last but not least, we're going to talk about Jacob Ramsey. As the Football Insider says that Spurs are working on a deal to sign Jacob Ramsey. In addition to Mohammed Kudus, Spurs' recruitment team have been long-term admirers, and Thomas Frank is believed to be a big fan too. The club have already held talks with agents over a transfer.
Yeah, it's one that just doesn't seem to go away, does it? Jacob Ramsey. Every summer we seem to be linked with him.
Yeah, similar to Eze.
Similar to Eze, reminds me of Conor Gallagher as well. That kind of deal. So whether it comes to fruition, I think I understand that Tottenham might see an opportunity with Villa struggling with PSR, and that he's a good, versatile player. That would be a good signing for us. But again, it comes with the similar question marks about the necessity, the profile that we need. He just doesn't seem to be, as much as apart from it being a good opportunity, I don't see the need to sign him. Like, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but we have players that can play in the positions that he's strongest in, and it just doesn't seem like a necessary signing. I'd rather, sign other players, but I do like him, and he would be the kind of player who, he's one of these players who you sign and he can just kind of play in a few different positions, so versatile. When you got injuries, he fills in, that kind of stuff. But I just would rather focus on other. Again, we're limited with squad space, and it's just we really are struggling for numbers right now. And I don't know if adding a player that we don't need is the right way to go.
You know what it is with Jacob Ramsey? I really like him as a player, but I'm just fed up of signing these opportunities in the market. It's time just to focus on what you need. Like a Mohammed Kudus, we need him. We need that profile of player. We need that position in the squad. Just focus on players that you need. Yeah, fine, he's a good player and he could probably do really well for us, but we're too stacked in the positions that he's going to play. So literally all we need to do in this window is focus on the positions that we need and bring in those players, bring in those profiles of players that fit the squad. Enough of this opportunities in the market rubbish.
I know, but that's Tottenham, isn't it? We love an opportunity. I think that's the thing with Levy as well. Whenever you watch kind of any behind the scenes thing about him or you read any articles, they all say he especially beforehand or a few years ago, he was addicted to like deadline day, right? Because he loved the rush of getting deals done and opportunities, and that's just how he loves transfers. He loves to kind of think he's getting one up on the market. He loves to win win deals, win negotiations. So I think he lives for those opportunities. That's kind of Levy. He sees like he would rather pay under market value for an opportunity than pay full whack for a player we really need. And that's just how Levy's always operated, and that's the big problem with him.
Massive problem. But I still don't see us going for Jacob Ramsey.
No, for me, again, it's not about him per se. He's a good player. It just doesn't make too much sense for Tottenham right now.
Yeah. But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below all the news stories that we did bring to you today. But look, wow, over 1,600 people in here with us. Welcome to everyone to the show, and everyone smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. And I know you're all asking, but I want to apologize that we were late for the stream today. I saw a lot of people saying, you got to apologize. Well, sorry we were late, people. We do have a members chat here from Mr. Danny Kiriakou. And he says, Ben, are you still recovering from Sim and I's big win last night? I thought you said we were going to get battered, eh? Come on, you Spurs. Well, you got battered 6-0 in one set. So that's
we won 3-2. It was a 5-set epic. It was an absolute epic.
That was pretty grueling last night. We played paddle, me and Amir against Sim and Danny Kiriakou, and Sim and Danny won 3-2. In sets, which is unheard of because paddle's always just first to two. But we thought we would take it the extra mile. We
nearly 3 hour special.
Yeah, it was pretty mad.
And in each set we were at least 3 down, me and Danny, and made comebacks in, I
Apart
think,
from the
4
one
of them.
that you lost 6-0.
Apart from that one.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be smug about that. We won.
Yeah, but maybe we'll record a game one day and stream it live to you if that guy. You guys want to see me, Amir, Sim, and Danny battle it out on the paddle court on a live YouTube stream? Let us know.
I'm sure everyone's desperate for it.
And super chat here from I can't even pronounce that, but says, would you take Amadou? I'm guessing he's saying Onana for the 6.
I would.
I was saying last summer that we should have gone for him.
I like him. I like him a lot. Albeit, again, he's a bit of a monster, but he's not I wouldn't say he's the perfect profile to what we need. I would generally like someone a bit like more elite on the ball, but beggars can't really be choosers, can they?
All right.
And did you read that one from Mal? Oh, was that not today?
I don't know.
From Malware.
Don't know. Bring it up and see.
Big up, boys. Up the hard work. Kudus is crucial. Get this done. Kudus and Johnson will be our Batman and Robin on the right. Cheers, guys.
Come on.
Batman and Robin.
I'll tell you that. Who's Batman and who's Robin?
I'm pretty sure Kudus is Batman.
He's the main character,
Yeah,
is he?
for sure.
Yeah, I agree. But Robin is, he does a lot of good work, doesn't he? So
He does some great work. Great lad. And that Robin. Great lad.
there would be no Batman without Robin. That's the reality.
Robin just taps in all Kudus' good work. Just lots of tap-ins. All of Batman's good work. Oh, what's this? Matt Law. Tottenham have discussed internally a move for Kyle Walker-Peters. The current belief, however, is that it is a deal that will not be pursued.
Interesting.
So Tottenham will not pursue, at the moment, Kyle Walker-Peters, according to Matt Law. So we're just not going to have a backup left-back, probably.
Like last season.
Or we're just going to go Ben Davis. Would you rather keep Ben Davis for left-back or go Walker-Peters?
Probably go Walker-Peters.
Yeah, me too.
I don't mind Ben Davis as like a third choice centre back, but as your next in line for left back, it's not good enough. He's not a left back anymore.
Agreed. He's never really convinced me in that position for a long time.
Yeah. But look, let's go to X and see how the internet has been reacting to this Kudus news within the West Ham fan base. And I think we're going to have a bit of laughs this afternoon reacting to all this content. So let's bring it up. And first up is Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV and says, I'm not mad at Kudus for entertaining going to Spurs, especially when we're pushing so hard to sell him. I do question his intelligence. They'll get knocked out the Champions League early and get nowhere near qualifying again. He should hold out for better.
These West Ham fans are so salty that we're in the Champions League. Oh, we'll get knocked out of the Champions League early. We're not going to be in the top 24. None of this stuff. We're going to be. Look, you've got to realise the 17th was an anomaly. It's never going to happen again. We're a much better team than that. The season before we finished 5th, so clearly I think that 17th is a bit of an anomaly. And yes, I know we finished that low, but we did win the Europa League for a reason, because we're not as bad as that 17th position suggests, and we'll be fine. Look, I'm not saying we're going to win the Champions League. I'm not even saying we're necessarily going to be in that top 8. I would put good money that we'll be in that top 24. Absolute very good money. If you want to put that bet in, I'm willing to put money on the table. We are going to be in that top 24 in the Champions League. So we'll be in the Champions League come February. And Kudus will be able to show, be on that stage what he's all about. And we're not going to just be dumped out very quickly. We'll be there for a lot of the season.
Yeah, it's mad. All these guys, West Ham. We were watching that video together yesterday, the West Ham Fan TV one, and Nicky was saying the same thing. Like, these guys are going to be out in the Champions League first round.
Mm-hmm. They underestimate the quality we got in our squad because of the league position we finished.
We literally won the Europa League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they're saying it's the easiest Europa League ever. It doesn't mean anything. Look, you say what you want, but we won it. We were, for me, deserved winners. We did very well in the knockouts and obviously won the final. We're much better than you think we are. We have a lot of quality in that squad, which I think will be realised next season. I don't know where exactly we are going to finish exactly, but I'm confident we are going to be challenging again in those European positions at the top end of the table. And And I'm confident. Look, I doubt we're going to go too far in the Champions League, but I'm confident we'll get into the knockouts at least.
Yeah, I agree. Look at this one. This one's been doing the rounds with inside the West Ham fan base. If we make, look at this. Enough is enough. If West Ham United sell Mohammed Kudus to the scum, we call for a total boycott and mass protest by all true supporters. Stand up for the club. Stand up for our pride. No more betrayals. Protest details coming soon. Spread the word. Defend the claret and blue. Please like and share this post.
Yeah, so this for me is a bit of a concern. They're rallying and riling each other up and getting it and they're looking to organise a protest because I think it's a headache. The ownership at West Ham, from West Ham fans I've spoken to, are very much on thin ice right now. Then no one really likes them. There's been mass demonstrations against them before. Back in, I remember, I think it was 2017. I remember there was fans charging onto the pitch at one game. I remember, I think it was against Burnley. They lost. They lost at home to Burnley. Noble got into an altercation with a fan on the pitch. I remember that was a while ago, but they have been on thin ice for a while. And if they were to do something like this, is it going to tip them over the edge? Is this something that is this a stain on them that is just a step too far? Is it not gonna? Is this something that just won't go away if they do this kind of deal? That is something they're going to be concerned about. Now, they might think it's something they'll do the deal and this will blow over when the season starts. We'll just get a few good deals done to replace Kudus and everyone's going to be fine. And maybe that's true, but that's a risk. Is it a risk they're willing to take, or is it something where they're just desperate not to do a deal like this? And even if Tottenham stump up the money, will they try their hardest not to do the deal with Tottenham because they're worried about this kind of reaction, this kind of backlash? It's going to be very interesting how this plays out. And it's going to be interesting to see if there's enough West Ham fans to get a protest together and enough feel this way to do these mass demonstrations, or is it just a loud minority and will it just be 50 fans at the stadium and no one really cares kind of thing?
When you think about this, there's a few things here. Like, I think the board at West Ham, Sullivan and Brady would have known that there's going to be a backlash towards it. They'll know a lot of fans are not going to be happy. So they wouldn't get this far and let Kudus talk to West Ham if they cared about it too much, is the reality. And I feel like in their mind, it goes back to what you were saying a minute ago, saying they think, just do the deal and it'll all just blow over. I think ideally they wouldn't want to sell to Spurs, obviously. They'd want to sell somewhere else. But Kudus has made his stance clear. Kudus has said he only wants to talk with Spurs. He doesn't want to talk to anyone else. So now we're at this stage. They are backed into a corner and they can't do anything but negotiate with Spurs right now, because if Kudus is going to reject anything out of hand and West Ham are not going to deal with Spurs, then it's going to cause more shit than anything. Kudus is going to be there. The West Ham fan, it's going to be more toxic with Kudus being there than with him being at Spurs, in my opinion.
But do you think there will be mass protests? Do you think, I don't know how many people this thing has reached. I don't know how far it's gone in the West Ham fan community. But will this deal... Obviously, there's going to be... Don't get me wrong, there's going to be severe backlash online. But online is different to in person, isn't it? And that's really what makes a big difference in these kind of things. Because online... it's maybe for a few days and then it blows over and they move on to the next thing. That always usually what happens online. There'll be a bit of outrage, especially when the deal gets announced, then it'll blow over. But if there are big demonstrations in person, placards, getting a lot of notoriety, then all of a sudden becomes a headache you don't want. And it becomes something. So it's about, do they underestimate what the reaction will be? Or is the reaction actually not going to be that severe when it comes to actually things that, make a difference to them?
It's hard to say.
Need a West Ham fan to tell us, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say, what the majority are feeling like, how and when are these protests going to take place. Obviously, is it going to be at pre-season friendlies, or there's no significant football till the Premier League starts, obviously, which is, just over a month away. I think it all depends on what else goes on. Who do West Ham bring in to replace him? How well do West Ham start the season? If West Ham start the season well, all the noise probably quietens down. But if they start the season really poorly and Spurs is doing well and Kudus is scoring from the off, then I think West Ham fans will get very angry and maybe protests will happen a bit later on in the season. But I think from the off, I don't know. I think there are a lot of moving parts to say, like, will the West Ham fans on a whole rise up against it? Maybe not on this situation alone, but if you look at the whole picture and how badly West Ham or how well West Ham are doing, I think everything plays a part of it.
Yeah, I am definitely concerned now. I hope this isn't something that's being... I'm guessing it's a lot of people have seen it. It's been widely spread, but I'm hoping it's something that's not really being actioned on like quickly and with big following. Because if it is, I do think that could make an impact, and I'm a bit worried about that.
But I think that, first of all, this is saying that if West Ham sell Kudus to the scum, then the protest will take place. So,
but I'm worried that if there's real talk of this is happening, deal agreed, and then all of a sudden there's a flood of thousands of fans protesting outside the ground, all that kind of stuff, could that stop the deal? Could all of a sudden,
I don't think so.
Not Gold. Could all of a sudden Sullivan and Brady, if they pull out this deal last minute, all of a sudden they're heroes again, and that gives them great PR, and they've got one over on us, and that kind of stuff. So there is a fascinating situation. This
it is, but I just can't see the West Ham board pulling out because of this. I just can't see it really, and I feel like this. They'll just take the flak when it comes. Like, they're desperate to sell West Ham. He only wants to come to us. Like, what are they supposed to do?
I agree. I think they're expecting... I don't think they're expecting mass protests outside the ground based on this transfer. I think when
I don't think there will be.
Yeah, I that's why I think they're factoring in. I think they're assuming there'll be some outrage online for a day or two. They'll make a signing maybe quickly, and then all West Ham fans will move on, and no one will care. But if they do underestimate it, it'll be interesting to see what that reaction would be and how they react to that.
Well, get your popcorn out, people, because it could spiral out of control, this one. I would love nothing more. I would love nothing more than to sign Mohammed Kudus to see mass protests at West Ham.
Yeah.
That would make me very happy. It really would. But, we'll get into some more reactions in a minute. But Kota Takai has played his last game for Kawasaki on the weekend, and look at what they did for him. So here in Japan, Kota Takai's final game for Kawasaki, "Today is to do," is displayed in Japanese while he's given a hero's goodbye before he heads off to Tottenham. The most expensive Japanese player in the J-League history. Player will fly to London and be confirmed as Tottenham's first signing of the window in the coming days. So if you just open up those pictures, that is "Today is to do" in Japanese in the stadium.
Little hint as to where he's going, I would say.
Exactly, and that is Kota Takai as well was on the speakerphone speaking to his fans. Which is first of all, it shows a lot to do that. 20 years of age, speak in front of everyone. When was the last time a Tottenham player left and done that? You had Lloris who retired and spoke like that. Spurs players never get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I'm just saying it. True, but I think. We didn't even get anything near that with Kane or anything like that. And this is a 20-year-old leaving after, I think, a couple of years starting. So, look, fair play to him. But I think that shows the kind of character and personality that he did that in his final game. It reminds me of, Matthias de Ligt did that at 18. He was captain, I think, of Ajax at the time. And I remember when he left, he in front of the big crowd, he got on the megaphone and did a massive speech. And it was a real arousing speech as well. So maybe he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think that's obviously part of the reason why we've been convinced to sign him.
Yeah. And the Spurs army, this is Kota Takai in the airport flying to London. Japanese centre-back Kota Takai at the airport on his way to London ahead of his imminent and all but confirmed move to Tottenham Hotspur. So shortly we're going to hear an announcement on this in the next day or two.
Yeah.
Maybe even this evening. Who knows?
Who knows? It could be any day because he's already said goodbye. Obviously, he'll want to join pre-season with Tottenham. I'm guessing he's... is it mid-season in Japan? Or is it like near the end or beginning? I don't know what it is. But right now, after him just leaving, I don't know if he's going to want a break or is he just going to go straight into it, I'm guessing.
Straight in, mate.
Straight in. But then he's not going to get a break at all, I'm guessing, if you go straight in. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. Maybe he's willing to do that, or maybe it's fine.
He'll be chomping at the bit.
I'm sure he'd be chomping at the bit. So I think he definitely I reckon he's desperate to get involved in pre-season. That's why I envisage.
Yeah, I'm just seeing how far they are into their season. Japan, where are they? They've played 23 games this season. In a 20-man league. So they're like 3/4 of the way through or something.
Right. So if he joins pre-season now, I guess he wouldn't have a break for until next year.
Yeah, the reality is, though, like, he's not going to be starting every game, is he? Like he was for Kawasaki. So it's a bit of a different. Like him playing a full season for Kawasaki is different to him playing a full season for us.
No, that's fine. It's just he's not going to have a holiday
Yeah.
for a year.
Poor Kota. But looking forward to seeing him in the Tottenham shirt, that's for sure. And we'll see, and we'll bring you the reaction of when he does sign officially. Next up, we've got West Ham fan reactions to Spurs news for your entertainment, which is a thread. So this should be fun. First one.
So go into the thread, Ben. There you go. Oh no! Click the actual tweet. There you go.
So first one is from BG. Benny says, should be treated worse than Rice, this prick.
I didn't know Rice would even care about Rice. I mean, they care.
They do give him abuse, but I think it's more like not out of hate, just out of like, you used to be one of us, you're not one of us anymore.
Yeah, right. I think Kudus for sure. Surely he has to be. If one of the better players getting, not going for 100 million essentially, surely he'd be treated worse. You would think, especially to a bigger rival as well.
Ibby says Kudus is going to get some special treatment from our fans next season. Don't care if he has no affiliation to West Ham. Being on your knees to join a club like Spurs is an embarrassment and disrespect. I hope his career has the worst downfall ever and amounts to nothing.
Yeah, clearly, apparently don't care. It doesn't sound like they don't care, mate. Jeez, they're very, very bitter. This is not salty like it was before. This is worse. This is rattled.
Ibby says, dirty rat bastard. Oh, these West Ham fans, man. Tom says, genuinely, fuck him. I'd rather not get a single penny and let him rot.
Let him rot. I love when fans say that, as if a club is ever going to just do that. Just let a 65 or 70 million pound asset just rot in the reserves doing nothing. So
there's another one here saying from Kyle, not from Kyle, it's from someone, says Kudus is massively overrated, to be honest.
That's from the guy who's been posting. That's from the Tottenham fan.
Right. Oh, I see.
So a West Ham fan has responded with that.
Yeah, but that is the thread.
Jeez, a lot of they're fuming. They are fuming.
Yeah, if we scroll down to the West Ham transfers one saying, honestly, what an effing wanker. Hope we keep him and let him rot in the under-21s. Prick.
God.
Oh, God.
So brilliant.
West Ham News and Views says Mohammed Kudus is not talking to any other club at this stage. He only wants a Tottenham move. The 24-year-old has already said yes to Spurs project, and club-to-club talks with West Ham will continue soon. Scum.
They are absolutely off their rocker at the moment. The amount of piss this is boiling is something fantastic.
Oh, mate, and I am here for every second of this West Ham.
They can't take it. They're one of our best players wants to join us. They can't
It's
handle
actually
it.
Unbelievable. The reaction, yeah. And you think of the reaction is bad now. Imagine we actually go and sign him.
I know. When it gets agreed, oh my God.
Imagine him parading around that Spurs stadium. Mm-hmm. Imagine him scoring at the London Stadium next year.
I think before when we did a reaction to some of these takes from West Ham fans, and like it was kind of like tentative, and they were like saying, look, I don't really care if he leaves, I'd rather he won't join Tottenham and stuff. And now they're like, this guy's a prick, he's scum, let him rot in the reserves, all this kind of stuff. That fury, that anger is starting to really rise.
Yeah,
at the
because
moment.
when we went through it at the beginning, you said to me like, oh, the West Ham fan, it doesn't look like the West Ham fan cares too much. But I said to you, trust me, they're just trying to put on a brave face right now. If this actually happens, this is going to boil their piss so badly. And you can already start seeing it come out. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse if this still actually progresses. It is unbelievable to see. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And it's just like West Ham, man. Like, if we want one of West Ham's best players, it just shows that we could just go and take him. We could go over to West Ham, You want to give us your captain in Scott Parker, Player of the Year? Yeah, we'll take him. You want to give us Mohammed Kudus, who's definitely the player in your squad with the biggest future in their career? Yeah, we'll take him as well. Jermaine Defoe, one of your best players in the academy. Yeah, we'll take him. Michael Carrick, one of the best players in your academy then as well. Michael Carrick, we'll take him as well. We just take your best players. That's what we do.
Have we ever sold a player to them? I'm trying to remember.
Have we sold a player to West Ham?
Well, we did a deal with Zamora, didn't he? Zamora went there as part of the Defoe deal.
Anyone that we've actually cared about?
No, the Canute deal. That was part of the Canute deal, wasn't it? Or was it Defoe? No, it was Defoe. It was part of the Defoe deal. I'm trying to think. Who have we sold to West Ham ever?
Robbie Keane, I think.
I don't think. Did we? Was that off the back of... Oh, I think you're right. I think we loaned him, didn't we? Mm. We loaned him to West Ham for a few months.
But, I mean, he was done, Robbie Keane,
he was,
wasn't he?
we did it as an inside agent, double agent. Anyone? Any Sheringham? Yeah? No. I think Sheringham went to Portsmouth from us and then went to West Ham.
I can't remember.
He was at Portsmouth for a bit. Callum Davenport. Very good. God, they really take some dregs, don't they, from us? Callum Davenport. Anyone else in the chat? You know what's funny? When I'm
Matthew Everington. Les Ferdinand. Ili Dumitrescu. Bobby Zamora. Sergei Rebrov.
Tarico, he was rubbish and done.
David Bentley.
Rebrov. I remember he went on a free, didn't he? He was so bad, Rebrov. Who? Yeah. Bentley? Yeah. Went on loan there.
Yeah.
God, they get so screwed. Why have they ever got a player from us? They get screwed every time. Has any of those been anything other than disastrously bad?
No. None of them have ever worked out for them, ever. Probably the best one was probably Matthew Everington.
Matthew Everington. Some Konchesky. No, Konchesky was only on loan at us, so I don't think Konchesky counts.
But in terms of significant players, it's always coming the other way.
And also, I've seen a lot of people... I saw one tweet saying, talking about the rivalry, saying... I think there was a Tottenham fan saying, why are you trying to force the rivalry? And then a West Ham fan replied saying... what do you mean forced rivalry? Daniel Levy has actively refused to deal with West Ham for 10 years. And I'm like, I don't think that's what's happened, mate. I think we'll happily deal with you. I think it's the other way around. I think clearly, I don't think West Ham want to deal with us. I think Daniel Levy, I don't think has a problem dealing with West Ham. I think if he would sell and buy to them happily.
It's only because, since Scott Parker, since we took their captain and best player and player of the year at that point in time, they've had no one that we've actually wanted to have.
Yeah. Exactly, pretty much. There's been no deal there, and I think as well, if we went in for him, they've probably made the deal.
The only one is probably
difficult.
Jared Bowen. Really,
won the last 10 years
since
or so.
Scott Parker, who would we want apart from Jared Bowen? Obviously, Tevez and Mascherano, they went on to bigger and better things.
Payet, maybe, I don't know, but he obviously didn't last long. Trying to think of West Ham players who I'd really wanted. Not too many.
It's only Jared Bowen.
So, that's first of all, there's that, and I think as well, it's definitely more in the West Ham's direction. They're the ones refusing to deal with us. I think Levy's got no problem with it.
Yeah, and look, we're a club that have done a lot of business with each other over the course of the Premier League era, and if we were such big rivals, that wouldn't have happened. Look at Spurs and Arsenal. Yeah, that's what real rivalry looks like. The clubs very rarely do business with each other.
It's actually mad. If you were to put on a list the players we've gotten from them, the players they've gotten from us, it's actually crazy.
I've got a list of it right.
The different in quality. The difference in quality is crazy.
We gave them Rob Birch on loan.
He never made an appearance for us, Rob Birch. His biggest thing in his career was that he was our goalkeeping coach.
Yeah, that's just been sacked.
And he's just been sacked. That's so funny. We got some great players from him. Carrick. We made a massive profit on him. He was class. Defoe, one of the Premier League's greatest ever goal scorers. Canute. I mean, unfortunately, never really did it at Tottenham, but he went on to be an unbelievable player at Sevilla. But he was a good player.
He was decent at Spurs.
He was decent. Scott Parker got Player of the Year for us, and now potentially Kudus. The talent difference is night and day.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, if you look at the worst player on that list, he's 1,000 million times better than the best player on the list that they've ever taken from us.
Best
I guess
player to
the
take
best
from-
player that they've taken from us is Jimmy Greaves. He went to West Ham from
Jimmy
Spurs.
Greaves.
But that was
You're talking black
yeah,
and white.
exactly. You're talking. He moved to West Ham in 1970.
Jesus. Is that I doubt was that
got-
because we sold him or was that because he was?
You got-
I don't know.
Martin Peters and Jimmy Greaves, who both went to West Ham from Spurs that year. I mean, I don't know the whole kind of nitty gritty of both transfers and why they happened and what it was about, but those were literally it. Like the other players were either players that couldn't get into our team or well over the hill players like Les Ferdinand and Robbie Keane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. David Bentley as well. Players we're just desperate to get rid of. Tarico. How West Ham get duped by us every time we just don't want to play. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
We should try get some players off to them
More
more
often.
often. You know.
They need a left centre back maybe.
Maybe this could be the start of a nice. Well, it's not the start because we do have a nice special relationship with West Ham. You
Yeah,
know, we
would you
take
be-
their best players and they take our worst.
We should formalise it. I like that relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, look, I think that is it in terms of the reactions. And I think that's it from us today as well. So hopefully we get some more news as the day progresses. But I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Please remember to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button on your way out, and like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.